Hello, my name is Keshwani. That's K-E-S-H-W-A-N-I, Keshwani. I have been solving math problems for GRE out of this book here, Practicing to take the GRE General Test, the 10th edition. If you do not own this book already, purchase one immediately. The problem that I'm about to solve is the one that you're going to find on page number 328, Quantitative Comparison Questions, hence the QC, number 40. The penultimate question. And for those of you who do not know the word, look it up and learn it. Penultimate. It's spelled pen and then ultimate, but it's not pronounced that way. So let's take a look at it. Number 14, second to the last question. Column A, column B. In the first column they give us 10 raised to 5 over 5 raised to 3. And then 2 to the 5th times 2 to the 2nd. Only about a third of the people, not about a third of the people got this question right. 33% got it right. Well, actually about a third actually was correct answer because we don't know exactly what it is. Anyway, about a third of the people who took the exam got this question right. 2/3 of the people who took this exam had difficulty with this question. My guess is that the reason that 2/3 of the people had difficulty with this question, let's talk about it for a second, is because these people, no matter how many times you tell them, they forget during the exam, they forget what these questions are called. These questions are called quantitative comparison. Your job is to compare the two things, not compute the bloody things. If you sit there and try to compute it, and try to compute this, you're missing the point. You're missing the point entirely. That was not the point. Even if you got the question right, you missed the point. You're supposed to compare the bloody thing, not compute it. Actually, compute them rather. There are two of them. You're supposed to compare them, not compute them, which is precisely what we're going to do here. So, let's have some fun first before we solve this problem. Let's work on here. If I ask you which quantity is bigger here, 27 over 4 versus 7, well, the easiest and the quickest way is to ask yourself, what can I do to get rid of this 4 from the bottom here? It doesn't matter where the 4 appears. You ask yourself, what can I do to get rid of the denominator so that I'm no longer dealing with a fraction? And the easiest way you can get rid of the 4 is to multiply both columns rather, by the denominator. This is your column A, this is your column B. And can we do that? The answer, of course, is yes. You can do anything. You can add the same numbers on both columns. You can subtract same numbers from the both columns. You can multiply two columns by the same numbers. You can divide both columns by the same numbers. You can do anything you want. Except when you're multiplying and dividing by two columns by the same number, do not use negative numbers, because negative number changes things a little bit. I'll show you in a second. So once we do this thing here, this 4 cancels out. Here we're left with only 27, and here we're left with 7 times 4, which is 28, so we know that 20 is more than 27. But we do not actually sit there and try to compute what 27 over 4 is. If you did that, you would be missing the point. That is exactly what is going on here. The question is, how do we get rid of 5 raised to the 3rd power from the denominator? Well, by doing the same thing what we did over there. Multiply both columns by the denominator. Let's do that. I'm going to erase this part because I need the room. Let's multiply both columns by the denominator. 5 raised to 3rd power and 5 raised to 3rd power. Now this 5 raised to 3rd power cancels out with this 5 raised to 3rd power. That's it. And what we are left in the first column, is 10 raised to 5. That's all we are left here, this part right here. Let's see what we have in the second column. Here I have 2 raised to the 5th power, and then we have 5 raised to the 2nd power times 5 raised to the 3rd power. What is 5 raised to the second power times 5 raised to the third power? Of course it is 5 raised to the fifth power. So I can combine these two and write it as 2 raised to the fifth power times 5 raised to the fifth power. Now 5 raised to the fifth power times 2 raised to the fifth power, of course, is same as 2 times 5 raised to the fifth power. And of course 2 times 5 is same as 10. Voila! Same as this quantity right here. We start our journey with column B and we keep manipulating it and we arrive at column A. There you go. The two columns are equal. That's all. The answer is C. Answer is C. That's all. That's it. We are done. It's just they want to see in this particular questions if you know how to manipulate your exponents, and that's all it was. The point of the problem was not to actually divide the quantity. They're not trying to see if you know how to divide things. They assume that you know the division. They just want to know if you know how to manipulate the exponents of the numbers. So one more time, I'm going to quickly recapitulate what we just said. 10 raised to 5th divided by 5 raised to 3rd power. But the easiest way to get rid of 5 to the 3rd power is to multiply both columns by 5 raised to 3. Once we do that, we have a 5 raised to 3 here, we have 5 raised to 3 here. This 5 raised to 3 takes out this 5 raised to 3, and we're left with only 10 raised to 5th on the first column. And here, 5 raised to the 2nd power times 5 raised to the 3rd power right here is same as 5 raised to the 5th power. So I can combine these two terms into 5 raised to the 5th power. So now we have 5 raised to the 5th power times 2 raised to the 5th power, which of course is same as 2 times 5 raised to the 5th power, which of course boils down to 10 raised to the 5th power. That's all. I hope you found it helpful. If you wish to get hold of me for personal private tutoring, I do face-to-face tutoring in person. I also tutor over the Skype, over the internet, via Skype, and I also tutor via telephone. If there is anything at all that I can help you with in your preparation for GRE, go to my website at www.prep.gre.com and send me an email. Or, of course, you can go to www.KeshwaniPrep.com and send me an email. Alright, and we'll talk. Thanks.